small bird sits on your fence before the morning settles. The grass still holds moisture from the night. Nothing seems unusual at first. Then the bird stops moving. Its head stays fixed toward your back door. A car passes 30 meters away. The bird ignores it. A squirrel crosses the yard. The bird barely reacts. But the moment the door handle moves, it watches. You step outside at nearly the same time every day. 7 o'clock, 7:15, sometimes 7:30. The bird seems ready before you appear. Most people assume birds notice humans only when they get close. The belief feels obvious. The truth is stranger. Many backyard birds watch from distances between 20 and 100 meters. American crows, northern mockingbirds, and house sparrows can remember individual human faces. Some studies show recognition lasting for months. What looks like a bird resting on a fence may be something else entirely. The bird is gathering information. It learns which person fills a feeder. It learns which person disturbs a nest. It learns when a dog enters the yard. It learns when the yard becomes quiet again. Your schedule becomes part of its daily calculations. That bird on the fence may already know your routine with surprising accuracy. And if it is watching this closely, it may be making far more decisions about you than you ever imagined. Most people think the observation flows in one direction. You watch birds from a window or patio chair. The birds seem busy with their own lives. The balance is often reversed. For many backyard species, watching humans is a daily survival skill. A black-capped chickadee may decide within seconds whether a feeder is safe. An American robin may delay feeding while evaluating movement across 30 meters of lawn. Every decision carries consequences. Each time you enter your yard, dozens of eyes may assess your presence. Birds measure distance. They track patterns. They compare what they see against previous encounters. Most of this happens silently. The bird on the fence is only the beginning. Some species remember faces for months. Others learn predictable schedules with surprising precision. A few may even inherit information through repeated family behavior. By the end, your yard may feel less like a place you observe and more like a place where you are constantly being observed. Most people assume birds forget individual people almost immediately. A human face seems unimportant in a bird's crowded world. That assumption falls apart. American crows can recognize specific human faces and remember them for at least 5 years. Researchers demonstrated this by wearing distinctive masks during crow captures. Years later, the same masks still triggered alarm calls from birds that had encountered them before. The memory was not vague. It was specific. A crow does not simply remember that a person exists. It remembers whether that person represented danger. The bird stores details and recalls them long after the original event has ended.
This changes how a crow experiences your neighborhood.
A crow visiting your yard may react differently to you than to your neighbor standing 10 meters away. Both people occupy the same space. Both appear at the same time. Yet the crow may treat one as harmless and the other as a potential threat. From the crow's perspective, these are not strangers. They are known individuals. That fence, rooftop, or utility pole becomes an observation post. The crow watches who walks past. It watches who approaches feeders. It watches who lets dogs into the yard. Each encounter adds another piece to a growing record. The deeper discovery is even more surprising. The memory does not necessarily stay with one bird. American crows are highly social. When a crow identifies danger, it often responds with loud alarm calls. Nearby crows pay attention. Young birds listen. Family groups gather information together. Researchers observed reactions spreading through local crow populations over time. Birds that had never experienced the original threat could still respond strongly after learning from others. Knowledge moves through the network. A single encounter can become shared information. One crow notices. Several crows react. Later, even more crows recognize the same risk. Your yard may sit inside one of these local information systems right now. The crow watching from a maple branch is not only relying on instinct, it is drawing from memory, experience, and information collected by other birds nearby. And once a bird can remember faces for years, the next question becomes unavoidable. What happens when birds begin predicting what those faces will do next? Most people assume birds react only to whatever is happening right now. A bird sees movement, then responds to it. The reality runs deeper. American robins often learn predictable human patterns and adjust feeding times around them. In neighborhoods and parks, robins repeatedly encounter the same people following the same routines. Over time, those routines become useful information. A robin searching for earthworms cannot waste energy unnecessarily. Every interruption matters. Every unnecessary flight costs resources. That is why timing becomes important. Researchers have observed birds shifting activity by several minutes when human movement follows a consistent schedule. If a yard becomes busy at 7 o'clock each morning, feeding may occur before or after that period instead. The bird is not simply responding, it is planning around expectation. Think about your own yard. If you step outside every morning at 7 a.m., local robins may already anticipate your arrival. They may begin feeding at 6:50. They may wait until 7:10. The adjustment can be small, yet meaningful. From your perspective, the robin appears whenever it chooses. From the robin's perspective, your appearance is part of the environment. A lawn is not just grass and soil. It includes predictable events. A sprinkler starts at a certain hour. A dog enters through the same gate. A person opens the same door every morning. The robin learns these patterns through repetition. Each observation adds another piece to the schedule. This reveals something important about how birds experience the world. They are not living entirely in the present moment. They use previous observations to estimate what will happen next. The prediction may only extend a few minutes ahead, yet those few minutes matter.
A robin that correctly anticipates disturbance spends more time feeding. A robin that misjudges timing may lose access to food or expose itself to danger. The difference accumulates day after day. Your daily habits become signals. The sound of a door, the appearance of a garden hose, the opening of a garage. Small events begin carrying meaning. What seems like ordinary routine to you becomes valuable data to a bird. And once birds can recognize faces and predict schedules, another question emerges. How much information can they gather without you ever noticing they are watching? Most people assume an alarm call means only one thing. A bird sees danger and sounds a warning. The message is often far more detailed. Black-capped chickadees can alter alarm calls by adding more notes when threats become more dangerous. Researchers studying chickadees found that the number of notes often changes depending on the level of risk. A small owl may trigger more notes than a larger owl. A predator capable of hunting small birds creates a stronger response. The call carries information beyond a simple warning. It becomes a description. Nearby birds listen carefully. Chickadees, nuthatches, and other species may respond within seconds. The information helps them decide whether to freeze, hide, or move away. The forest becomes a communication network. This can happen in your yard as well. A chickadee calling from a tree may be reporting information about a cat beneath a shrub. It may be reacting to a Cooper's hawk passing overhead. Sometimes the subject of attention may even be a person. The call is part of an ongoing assessment. Birds constantly sort the world into categories: safe, uncertain, dangerous. Each category influences how much energy they spend avoiding risk. Energy matters. A black-capped chickadee weighs only about 11 grams. During winter, survival depends on careful decisions. Flying away unnecessarily burns valuable energy. Ignoring a real threat can be fatal. Accurate classification becomes essential. That is where observation enters the picture. Birds that regularly watch humans begin building profiles through repeated encounters. One person refills feeders. Another allows a dog to chase birds across the lawn. A third walks through the yard without causing disturbance. The birds learn the differences. Over time, familiar individuals may trigger little concern. Unknown or disruptive individuals receive more attention. This reduces unnecessary escapes and allows more time for feeding. The deeper implication is easy to miss. Every observation improves future decisions. The chickadee does not need to evaluate each situation from the beginning.
Previous experience helps shape its response before a threat fully develops. That tiny bird calling from a branch may be processing far more information than its size suggests. It is measuring risk, sharing warnings, and refining judgments through experience. And if birds can build detailed categories for threats, the next question is whether they can pass those lessons to the next generation. Most people assume birds abandon nests whenever humans come too close. A single approach seems enough to drive them away.
The reality is more selective.
Many nesting birds learn the difference between brief, harmless visits and repeated, threatening approaches within only a few days. Species such as eastern bluebirds, tree swallows, and house wrens often adjust their behavior after repeated observations. The nest is too important for constant panic. A nesting bird cannot afford to leave every time movement appears nearby. Eggs require protection. Young chicks require warmth. Every unnecessary departure creates risk. That forces birds to make careful judgments. Researchers studying nesting behavior have observed birds becoming less reactive to predictable, non-threatening activity. A person walking past a nest box once each day may receive little attention after several encounters. A person who repeatedly approaches the entrance may trigger a very different response. The bird notices the pattern. Your own nest box may contain birds quietly collecting information about your movements. They watch when you enter the yard. They watch how close you come. They watch whether you stop, continue walking, or linger nearby. Each visit becomes another data point. From your perspective, you may glance at the nest for only a few seconds. From the bird's perspective, the encounter joins a growing record of previous experiences. The distinction matters because nesting is a period of constant vulnerability. An eastern bluebird egg measures roughly 2 centimeters in length. Newly hatched chicks cannot regulate body temperature effectively. Even short absences can create problems during cool weather. Predators add another challenge. A nest left unattended may attract snakes, squirrels, or other nest raiders. The parent bird must balance caution against the need to remain present. That balance depends on accurate judgment. Birds that flee unnecessarily lose valuable time. Birds that ignore genuine danger risk losing an entire brood. Success often depends on correctly identifying which disturbances matter. The deeper lesson is easy to overlook. The nesting bird is not simply reacting to movement, it is evaluating behavior. It compares today's encounter with encounters from previous days. The decision becomes more informed with each observation. Inside that small nest box, a quiet assessment is taking place. The birds are learning who belongs, who passes through, and who deserves concern. And once information about people becomes valuable enough to influence nesting success, it raises another possibility. Some birds may not keep that knowledge to themselves. Most people assume birds care only about physical distance. If you remain 20 meters away, the bird should feel equally safe. That is not what many birds do. Many species respond differently when a human looks directly at them compared to looking away. Even when the distance remains exactly the same, the bird's behavior can change dramatically. Attention matters. European starlings provide a clear example. Studies have shown that birds often become more cautious when they detect direct human gaze. A person facing toward them can trigger a faster escape response than a person standing in the same location while looking elsewhere. The difference is subtle, yet the birds notice it. From the bird's perspective, direct gaze may signal increased interest or possible pursuit. Looking away may suggest that no immediate threat exists. The distance never changes, only the direction of attention changes. That information becomes part of the bird's decision. You may see this in your own yard. A bird feeding beneath a feeder may continue eating while you glance at your garden. The same bird may stop immediately when your eyes lock onto it. The bird is not only measuring space, it is measuring awareness.
This creates a very different picture of backyard life. Birds are not simply reacting to objects moving through the environment. They are evaluating signals that reveal what those objects might do next. A human body provides one set of clues. Eye direction provides another. Together, they help predict behavior.
For a small bird, these predictions carry real value. A European starling weighs roughly 75 grams. Escaping too early wastes energy. Escaping too late can be dangerous. Better decisions improve survival. That encourages close observation. The deeper implication reaches beyond simple threat detection. When birds respond to gaze, they are responding to attention itself. They appear to recognize that another creature is directing awareness toward them. Observation becomes mutual. You watch the bird watches you watching it. A silent exchange unfolds across the yard. Neither side speaks, yet information moves in both directions. By this point, the fence bird, the crow, the robin, the chickadee, and the nesting parents all reveal the same pattern. Birds are constantly collecting information about the humans around them, and when millions of birds perform these observations every day, the story expands far beyond a single backyard. Most people see a bird watching a person as an isolated moment. A brief glance seems to begin and end in the same place. The truth extends much farther. Look first at the scale of your own yard. A bird perched on a fence may monitor movements across 30 meters of lawn, garden, shrubs, and pathways. It remembers faces. It tracks schedules. It notices where attention is directed. Every observation serves a purpose. The crow remembers individuals. The robin anticipates routines. The chickadee classifies threats. Nesting birds evaluate behavior near their young. Each species gathers information that improves survival. Your yard becomes a living source of data. Now widen the view beyond the fence. Across neighborhoods, thousands of birds encounter similar patterns every day. Feeders appear at predictable times. Dogs follow familiar routes. Lawns are mowed on regular schedules. Human activity creates rhythms that birds learn to navigate. The scale grows quickly. Across a region, bird populations adapt to human behavior over hundreds of kilometers. Urban birds often tolerate closer approaches than rural birds. Some species adjust feeding schedules around traffic patterns. Others alter nesting behavior in response to repeated disturbance. Knowledge accumulates through experience. Each generation enters a landscape already shaped by people. Young birds learn from parents. Family groups share information. Successful behaviors persist because they improve survival. The relationship deepens year after year. Then the view expands again. Across North America, more than 2 billion breeding birds move through environments influenced by human activity. Forest edges, farms, suburbs, parks, and cities form a vast network of habitats connected by migration routes. At this scale, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Millions of birds are continuously gathering information about the same species. You. Every day, birds evaluate human movement, predict human behavior, and adjust decisions accordingly. These decisions influence feeding opportunities, nesting success, migration stopovers, and survival. Birds do not simply live around humans, they study them. The process has unfolded for generations. One bird learns which yards provide safety, another learns which people create risk. Young birds inherit landscapes filled with these lessons. What begins with a single bird watching from a fence does not end there. It connects to neighborhoods. It connects to regions. It connects to a continent filled with countless observations occurring at the same moment. The ordinary visitor in your yard is participating in an ancient relationship between wild animals and human behavior. A relationship stretching across thousands of kilometers and billions of watchful eyes. For years, it may have felt like you were the only observer in your yard. Birds appeared, fed, called, and vanished while you watched from a distance. The picture looks different now. The bird on the fence may know your routine. The robin may anticipate your arrival. The chickadee may classify your behavior. Every feeder visit, alarm call, and cautious landing becomes part of an ongoing relationship between observer and observed. Tomorrow morning, your yard may feel quieter than usual. Yet hidden within that quiet, Dozens of watchful eyes may already be measuring your presence and adjusting their decisions around it. Tell me in the comments, when was the first time a bird in your yard seemed to recognize or react specifically to you?